get to that, let's talk about some of the latest news. This came out in the Observer yesterday, and I did not get a chance to cover this on my episode on Thursday night. So this is from the Wrestling Observer, as aggregated by Wrestle Purists. Nobody tell Rich and Joe that I'm using Wrestle Purists. They might get a little salty. You're not even allowed to in the Voices of Wrestling Discord. You're not even allowed to put Wrestle Purist tweets in there because the way they aggregate, they don't actually link you back to the original content. All right, they will do a tweet and then they will put it on their website, and then once you go to their website, you can find the link buried like at the bottom. that's kind of shady, but for the purposes here, I did not want to pull up the Observer again and like scroll through, and it's visually it's not something that it's fun to share screen, so they make it easy to share screen. So but I do have some friends that work over Wrestle Purists, so I don't think they're bad guys. Just not a lot of people agree with their form of media here. But anyway, here we are. According to two sources close in the negotiations and one involved, the group led by Scott D'Amore offered $10 million to purchase TNA. So he offered Anthem $10 million. $10 million plus assuming all existing debts the company had, as well as the trade debts. So what that means is he was actually, they were going to be able to walk away with $10 million in cash for it without having any debt. So he was going to assume all the debt. So there's no telling how much debt there is, but the story did go on to say that the D'Amore Group valued TNA at anywhere in between $7 and $12 million. He offered 10 in cash and taking in all the debts. So probably he was actually offering them more than $12 million, and they turned it down. And that's interesting to me, because I think that changes the narrative about the company a little bit. Now, somebody's going to come in here and say, well, he's crazy and Anthem's crazy. They're all stupid. There's no way TNA is worth all that. Well, how do you know? It's possible, guys. It is possible that us podcasters and all the bloggers and the people on Twitter, they don't have the data points that Anthem and Scott D'Amore has. It's very possible they don't. Now, maybe D'Amore and the people he got to lend him money, maybe they're all stupid. Maybe Anthem full of dipshits. I think that's a real possibility. Maybe D'Amore is thinking with his heart, and so is Anthem. Or, and I think, it could be a combination of all of it. Maybe Anthem has data points that tells them that while they were not happy with Scott D'Amore's performance, which is probably why they let him go, they felt like the people that they are putting in charge now could get them further along and be a more sustainable company than what Scott D'Amore had. And Scott D'Amore is like, hey, if I get these Anthem people out of the way, and I spend this money, maybe, just maybe, this is a more sustainable company, right? And that it is worth what I'm asking, what I'm offering. And Anthem's like, not only is it worth what you're offering, it's too valuable to us to let go. And people don't seem to understand why that would be. And look, I'm not saying that TNA is like a super profitable company. I don't think there's any possible that it's like a profitable venture. And simply because like they don't get a TV rights fee. It's all production costs. So it's like the cost of production. So Access is not like paying them for the talent. They just give them a budget. So everything that they earn goes back into like a budget that Anthem hands down every single year. So it's like, it's a different business model than say AEW or WWE, who is built off of rights fees. And AEW specifically is built off of not only rights fees, but like assuming debt, hoping that a bigger rights fee is going to pay off later to make them profitable, which they're not at this point. So, I found that because I've been hearing for the last 2 weeks that TNA is nothing but a money pit. It's a big money loser, and Anthem would love to get rid of it. And then the story comes out that Scott D'Amore offered to buy it, but Anthem didn't take him up on it, and we all thought maybe he just didn't offer like that much money. But now that it's come out that the $10 million figure plus assuming debts, which could take it up to like several million more. Where they would have been able to walk away with 10 million in cash. Tells me that this thing is a very valuable property to Anthem, and they're not looking to get rid of it anytime soon. Now, if he would have come in with like 20 million, they might have like they might have like, okay, like, yeah, that's a pretty damn good offer. But I don't know. Are we all just crazy? Is Anthem or is TNA just this big waste of money and a money pit that's never going to be successful, or is it the opposite? Is it something that could make money one day? Clearly, there's two people, Scott D'Amore and Len Asper, that believe that it could. And this also brings up another question. Did Scott D'Amore, did he have a TV deal that maybe we don't know about, like in his back pocket? I'm not saying like a profitable television deal, but maybe like an ad split or something like that. Did he have something on the table in order that would make him think that this thing would be profitable? Because I think a lot of people want to say that this guy is a stupid person and that he's a fool. I just don't know that. I just don't think that's true. I just don't. There has to be something about this company that people think will make money because they're willing to spend so much on it. I don't think that these are all just dumb people. I could be wrong. That maybe they're all delusional fools. I think that's a possibility. But I'm also, and I might be one of the few that is kind of like in the like a reasonable TNA podcast space. What I mean is like there are some podcasts out there that only ever see the good in TNA, and I think that's fine. You need those people too. I feel like they're a little brainwashed, but hey, they're good people. But then there's other guys like myself and BQ who are very reasonable people and can kind of look at the good and the bad, and we take a more measured approach when we're talking about TNA. And I think it is very possible that TNA isn't as bad off as people think, which is why Anthem is willing to hold on to it, and which is why Scott D'Amore was willing to go get investors together to make this big offer. Now, a lot of people are like, "Oh, that's not that much money." It was like, honestly, I 10 million and plus debts I thought was pretty high. I thought you could probably get this thing for like half of that. Especially considering like without a TV deal in your back pocket, you could probably get like half of that. Because what are you getting at that point? You're getting the name, the likeness, the contracts, the equipment, and then of course the YouTube, which I think probably does pretty well, and then the app, and then all the fast networks, the free like Pluto channels and all that stuff, and Plex channels and all that stuff that they got. So I thought that like maybe like $5 or 5 million was probably like legit, like what you could get it for. But he offered double that plus debts, so maybe even triple, and he couldn't get it. So there's something fishy about this whole thing, and we're going to continue covering it.